Did you know there are certain foods you shouldn't refrigerate? Yes, you heard it right. It's a common belief that refrigeration keeps all foods fresh, but that's not always the case. Some foods actually lose their flavor, texture, and even nutritional value when kept in the cold confines of a fridge. It's a shocking revelation, isn't it? Well, we're just getting started. Stay tuned as we reveal the top 10 foods you should never put in the fridge. First on our list are tomatoes. Surprised? Tomatoes, those beautiful red orbs of deliciousness, are a staple in kitchens around the world. But did you know that keeping them in the fridge can actually ruin their taste and texture? Yes, it's true. Refrigeration causes tomatoes to become mealy and tasteless. Here's why. The cold temperature of the fridge halts the ripening process, which is essential for a tomato's flavor to develop fully. Moreover, the cold can break down the cell walls inside the tomato, leading to a mushy texture. No one likes a tasteless, mealy tomato, right? So what's the solution? It's simple. Store your tomatoes at room temperature, preferably in a bowl or basket on your kitchen counter. This allows the tomatoes to continue ripening, enhancing their flavor and maintaining their firm texture. So, for a juicy, flavorful tomato, keep it out of the fridge. Next up, we have potatoes. These versatile veggies are a staple in many cuisines around the world. But did you know they can turn sweet and gritty if stored in the refrigerator? Here's why. When exposed to cold temperatures, the starch in potatoes begins a transformation into sugar. This process is known as retrogradation. Now, while this may sound like a superpower, it's not exactly a desirable one. The result? A potato that's surprisingly sweet and has a gritty texture. Not exactly what you're looking for when you're craving a savory side dish or a comforting bowl of mashed potatoes, right? So where should you store your potatoes? The answer is simple. In a cool, dark place. A pantry or a cupboard would work perfectly. This way, the starch remains as it is, and your potatoes will continue to have that familiar, earthy taste we all know and love. To keep your potatoes tasting like, well, potatoes, store them in a cool, dark place. Honey is our third item. Yes, the sweet stuff. A golden delight that's been a favorite for centuries, not just for its sugary taste, but also for its natural health benefits. But did you know, honey doesn't need to be refrigerated? That's right, honey is a natural preservative. It's low in moisture and acidic, which makes it an unfriendly environment for bacteria and microorganisms. So it can stay fresh for a long time, even at room temperature. But what happens when you refrigerate honey? Well, it can crystallize and become hard. This is a natural process where the glucose in honey precipitates out of the liquid honey. While this doesn't mean the honey has gone bad, it can make it less convenient to use. It's harder to spread on your morning toast or stir into your tea. So, for smooth, spreadable honey, keep it in your pantry, not your refrigerator. Coffee lovers, listen up. If you've been storing your coffee in the fridge, you might want to rethink that strategy. You see, coffee is porous. It's like a sponge, soaking up moisture and any odors floating around in your fridge. Ever had a cup of coffee that tasted a little like last night's leftovers? That might be why. When coffee absorbs moisture, it can lose its unique flavor profile. Those rich, deep notes you love can become muted, and your coffee might taste stale before it's time. Now, we don't want that, do we? Instead, consider storing your coffee in a cool, dry place. An airtight container in your cupboard, away from any strong odors, is ideal. This will help preserve the coffee's flavor, ensuring that your morning cup is as delicious as it can be. Remember, coffee is more than just a caffeine kick. It's an experience. For the best tasting cup of joe, keep your coffee in an airtight container in your cupboard. Onions are next on our list. Now, you may be surprised, but refrigerating onions is a big no-no. This is because the chilly environment inside the refrigerator is actually detrimental to onions. It's all about the moisture. You see, onions are naturally dry. Their layers work best in well-ventilated, cool, dry places. Once you introduce them to the damp, cold environment of a fridge, the moisture starts to soften them. Over time, this can lead to your onions becoming moldy, and nobody wants that. But there's another reason to keep onions out of the fridge. Their strong, pungent smell. Onions have a distinct aroma that can easily permeate other foods in your fridge. Ever had an apple that tasted a bit oniony? That's why. So to avoid soft, moldy onions and to keep your other food items safe from the onion's strong scent, remember this simple tip. To keep your onions fresh and your fridge odor-free, store onions in a cool, dry place. Garlic is our sixth item. A staple in kitchens around the world, this pungent and aromatic bulb is a must-have for many dishes. But here's the catch. You don't want to store garlic in your refrigerator. You see, when garlic is kept in a cold, moist environment, it's more likely to sprout. And sprouted garlic is not what we're aiming for here. It loses its strong flavor and becomes bitter. Not to mention, these conditions are also a breeding ground for mold. Instead, garlic prefers a cool, dry place. A pantry or a cupboard away from the stove or other heat sources is ideal. Garlic stored this way can last up to 2 months. Remember to keep it in a well-ventilated container to prevent any moisture buildup. So, for fresh, flavorful garlic, store it in a cool, dry place. Avocado lovers, this one's for you. If you've been stashing your avocados in the refrigerator, it might be time to rethink that strategy. You see, avocados are a bit peculiar when it comes to ripening. They're known as climacteric fruits, which means they continue to ripen after they've been picked. When avocados are subjected to cold temperatures like those inside your fridge, it can significantly slow down their ripening process. In fact, it can prevent them from ripening altogether. This leaves you with a hard, unripe avocado even after several days of waiting. So where should you keep your avocados? The answer is simple: on your counter, at room temperature. This allows the avocado to ripen naturally and reach its peak flavor and texture. Once it's ripe and you're not ready to use it just yet, that's when you can move it to the refrigerator to slow down further ripening. To enjoy a perfectly ripe avocado, keep it out of the fridge until it's ripe. Bread is next on our list. A staple in many homes, bread is often mistakenly stored in the refrigerator. Here's why that's not the best move. When you place bread in the fridge, the cool temperature accelerates the retrogradation of the starches in the bread. In simpler terms, it makes the bread go stale faster. You see, bread loves moisture. The refrigerator, however, is a dry environment which sucks the moisture right out of your loaves, leaving you with dry, hard bread way before its time. This can happen in as little as 2 days. So, where should you store your bread? A bread box is an excellent option. These containers are designed to keep bread at the optimal humidity level, keeping it fresh for longer. If you don't have a bread box, storing it in a dry, cool place like a pantry is also a good choice. For soft, fresh bread, keep it in a bread box or a dry, cool place. Olive oil is our 9th item. This golden liquid is a cornerstone of many cuisines, adding a rich and delicious touch to countless dishes. But did you know that storing olive oil in the fridge can actually harm its quality? When refrigerated, olive oil undergoes a transformation. It becomes hard and takes on a cloudy appearance, a far cry from the smooth, clear liquid we're used to. The cold temperatures can lead to the formation of crystals within the oil. These crystals not only alter the oil's texture, but can also affect its flavor. And it's not just about aesthetics either. The hardening process can make the oil difficult to use, as it won't pour easily. So if you've been stashing your bottle of olive oil in the fridge, it's time to rethink that strategy. Instead, store your olive oil in a cool, dark place like your pantry. This will help maintain its quality and keep it ready for your next culinary adventure. So, for smooth, clear olive oil, store it in your pantry. Last but not least, we have basil. This fragrant herb is a favorite in many dishes, but it doesn't play well with cold temperatures. When you refrigerate basil, it tends to wilt quickly and lose its vibrant green hue. Moreover, basil is like a sponge, absorbing the smells of other foods around it, which can compromise its unique flavor. To keep your basil fresh and flavorful, store it in a glass of water on your counter. It's a simple trick that makes a big difference. So there you have it, the top 10 foods you should never refrigerate. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane. We started with tomatoes, which lose their flavor and texture in the cold. Then we moved on to potatoes, whose starches convert to sugars in the fridge, resulting in an undesirable sweet taste. Honey crystallizes and becomes difficult to use when refrigerated, while coffee absorbs odors and moisture, compromising its aroma and flavor. Onions and garlic need a dry, ventilated environment, not a damp fridge, for optimal storage. Avocados stop ripening in cold temperatures and bread becomes stale and dry. Olive oil thickens and becomes cloudy, and finally basil wilts and absorbs other odors in the fridge. Remember, proper storage is key to maintaining the flavor, texture, and nutritional value of your food. Thanks for watching.